When I first came to Korea, the biggest culture shock I had was the studying culture in Korea. Studying here is far different on another level compared to my country. So I'll be sharing some of the things that people don't tell you about studying here in Korea. Hi, my name is Joshua from Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm a 2019 GKS undergrad student studying electrical engineering at Korea University. The first thing is course registration. It is a war. People usually go to the PC bang or internet cafes because they have the fastest computers and the fastest internet, because every second matters. Classes fill up in a matter of seconds, and some even faster than you can click. In my second year, I failed to get almost all of my classes. In less than 1 minute from the opening of course registration, all my classes filled up and I couldn't even get a spot. Even in the ad drop period, the extra spots filled up in seconds before I could get it. Eventually, after begging my department to join the class, they finally got me in. The second thing is studying courses in English and in Korean. The first thing you may wonder is, can I study fully in English? Well, it really depends on your major and university you choose. Some universities might have almost all the courses in English, but some may be mostly in Korean. At some point, you're gonna have to take a course fully in Korean, but if you're lucky, you won't have to. Also, the quality of English depends on each professor. There are professors that speak fluent English, and there are some that speak it quite slow. But you might even come across those professors that just explain everything in Korean with the class material in English. In the case of taking classes in Korean, it really depends on your Korean ability. But even hearing from friends whose Korean is quite strong, they still have a hard time with the language. There's always going to be terms that you don't know. I have taken a class fully in Korean, and as someone whose Korean isn't that strong, it was quite hard. It takes a lot of extra time because you have to be constantly translating and even listening to the lecture over and over. But in the end, your Korean's just going to improve. Another thing is the study culture in cafes. I would not have ever imagined myself sitting in a cafe for 8 hours studying. Back home, I never even studied for 3 hours straight. Many Koreans go to cafes and stay there for hours studying. That's why there's so much cafes, especially around the university. And the big franchise cafes are even larger than I could have imagined, some being as big as 4 floors. Eventually, I myself started doing this as I found myself more productive working in a cafe. People even often go together as a group to study. But when it comes to exam time, every cafe around the university is full. And you'd spend a long time jumping from cafe to cafe trying to find a seat unless you go early in the morning. There is a bunwigi, an atmosphere, in the cafe of everyone there just studying, but still with some sounds, unlike the library, that makes you more productive and get work done. It's really nice, minus the part of buying at least a drink every time you have to go. The last thing is the grading and the work required here. My first few weeks in KU, I was shocked to get 40% in my quiz. But then I was even more shocked to find out that that was the average. It might be more in the engineering schools, but some professors make exams that you can't get over 50%. But you just make them so hard that the average turns out to be 26%. So don't be too stressed when you think you failed the exam, because most of the class probably got the same mark. Also, the amount of work required, especially for foreigners, is a lot more than you think. You have to put in a lot more work because the Koreans will always do better than you, and you don't want to be at the bottom of the class. If the course is taught in Korean, you have to spend a lot more time translating, plus the extra studying, which really puts you at a disadvantage to the other Korean students. I never used to study past 11 p.m. When I came here, I found myself studying at all 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You definitely start to study more than you ever did in your life. Studying in Korea is still a fantastic opportunity, but there's still a lot that you won't know until you reach here. It's a lot of work and stress, both with the university work and the language, but it is manageable. There'll be a lot of difficulties, but you will overcome them. And when you overcome these obstacles, you'll always think you can do more. And at some point in the future, you'll look back and think it wasn't so hard. In the end, I would still recommend to study here. You learn of a lot of things apart from university. I'll be one of your greatest experiences.